Hello and welcome to today's installment of the Daf 23 Menachot Amud B. Tractate Menachos. So let's go. Rabbi Huda Basa v'chazusa ezel ve'idi min be'minahu. Rabbi Huda follows the appearance. What does that mean? Basa chazusa ozel. According to Rabbi Yehuda, in the context of nullifying minority components of a mixture, the halachic status of the components is not relevant. Therefore, meat of an animal carcass and the meat of a slaughtered animal are considered to be identical substances. This is because, according to Rabbi Yehuda, the reason that the blood of the bull when sacrificing Yom Kippur does not nullify the blood of the goat when the two are mixed is not because both are offerings, but because both are identical substances of identical appearance. The item in determining whether the two items are of the same substance. And therefore, this meat of a slaughtered animal and that meat of an unslaughtered carcass, are viewed as a substance in contact with the same type of substance, since their appearances are identical, and neither one nullifies the other. Rather, it must be explained that the opinions of Rav Chisda and Rabbi Hanina are in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Chia. As Rabbi Chia teaches, the meat of a unslaughtered animal carcass and the meat of a slaughtered animal are nullified one in the other. Rabbi Chia understands this statement to mean that the meat of an animal carcass is nullified in a larger quantity of meat of a slaughtered animal, whereas Rabbi Hanina understands the statement to be referring to meat of a slaughtered animal that is nullified in a larger quantity of meat of an unslaughtered animal carcass. Gemara asks, but then, in accordance with whose opinion did Rabbi Chia himself state his opinion? If his opinion is in accordance with the opinion of the rabbis, that is difficult. And the rabbis say that it is in the case of a mixture of items that are sent to the altar that different components of the mixture do not nullify one another. But in general, a substance in contact with the same type of substance is nullified. And if his statement is in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda, that is difficult. According to the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda, any substance in contact with the same type of substance is not nullified. The Gemara answers, actually, the statement of Rabbi Chia is in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda, and Rabbi Chia holds that when Rabbi Yehuda says that a substance is in contact with the same type of substance is not nullified, this statement applies only where it is possible for one to become like the other. But where it is not possible for one to become like the other, it is nullified, since the two are not considered the same substance. And Rabbi Hanina disagree with regard to this, and Rav Chisda hold that we follow the potentially nullifying substance, i.e., a larger quantity, and if it can attain the stages of the smaller quantity, the two are considered identical substances of the smaller quantity, and the smaller quantity is not nullified in the larger quantity. Therefore, if meat of a slaughtered animal became mingled with a larger quantity of meat, the larger quantity of meat of an animal carcass, the meat of the slaughtered animal is not nullified, as it is possible for a carcass to attain the stages of a slaughtered animal with regard to which impurity, as when a carcass it loses its impure status. And Rabbi Hanina holds that we follow the potentially nullified substance, i.e. the small quantity, and only if we can attain the status of the larger quantity, e.g. in the case of meat of an animal carcass that was intermingled with a larger quantity of meat of a slaughtered animal, the two are considered identical substances, and the smaller quantity is not nullified in the larger quantity. The Gemara offers support of the opinion of Rabbi Hanina. We learn in the Mishnah in the case of two meal offerings from which a handful was removed and which were intermingled with each other. If the priest can remove a handful from this meal offering by itself and from that meal offering by itself, they are fit meal offerings. But if not, they are unfit, as the handful of each meal offering must be taken from its original source. And here, once he removes a handful from one, the rest of it becomes the remainder, which is designated for the priest, and this remainder does not nullify the other meal offering from which a handful has not been removed. So what's the footnote there? Why does the Gemara assume that the volume of the remainder of the first meal offering will be greater than the meal offering from which a handful has not yet been removed? It is explained in the Shitta Mechubeses that although the total volume of the second meal offering is greater, it is inevitable that at some point where the two meal offerings meet, there will be a greater volume of the remainder of the first meal offering, which should nullify the part of the second meal offering that is in that spot. Once that part is nullified, the second meal offering will be lacking the requisite measure and should be disqualified. See the Chazon Ish. And the other meal offering from which a handful has not yet been removed, in accordance with whose opinion is the Mishnah. If it is in accordance with the opinion of the rabbi, that is difficult. Didn't the rabbi say that it is in the case of a mixture of items that are sent to the altar, that the different components of the mixture do not nullify with one another, but in general, a substance in contact with the same type of substance is nullified. Therefore, the remainder of the first meal offering should nullify the second meal offering, as both consist of the same substances, flour and oil. Rather, it is obvious that the mission is according to the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda, who hold that the meal offering is not nullified in the remainder, as any substance in contact with the same type of substance is not nullified. Now granted, according to Rabbi Chanina, who is the one who says that we follow the potentially nullified substance, in the Mishnah's case, the potentially nullified substance can become like the potentially nullifying substance, as when the priest removes the handful from the other meal offering, the intermingled offering will become a remainder that is designated for the priest, just like that of the first meal offering. Therefore, the intermingled second meal offering is not nullified in the remainder of the first meal offering. But according to Rav Hista, who is the one who says that we follow the potentially nullifying substance, can the remainder of the first meal offering become a meal offering from which a handful has not yet been removed? Therefore, shall we say that according to Rav Chisda, the Mishnah here is not in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Chia with regard to Rabbi Yehuda's opinion. The Gemara answers, there the halacha of the Mishnah is in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Zera. As Rabbi Zera says, that the verse teaches that nullification does not take place when the remainders are intermingled with handfuls. Explaining the term burning is stated with regard to the handful removed from the meal offering in Leviticus 2:2, as it is a mitzvah to burn the handful. And the term burning is stated with regard to the remainder of the meal offering in Leviticus 2:11, as it is taught that it is prohibited to burn the remainder. This verbal analogy teaches that just as in the case of the burning that is stated with regard to the handful, if two handfuls are mixed together, one handful does not nullify the other. Not agree that the two are burned on the altar. So too in the case of the burning as stated with regard to the remainder of the meal offering, if the remainder of one offering is intermingled with another meal offering, the remainder of the meal offering does not nullify the handful of or the remainder of the second meal offering. The Gemara suggests, come to hear a proof from the Mishnah here. In a case of the handful that was intermingled with the meal offering, from which a handful was not removed, the priest should not burn the mixture on the altar. And if he burned it, this meal offering from which the handful was taken satisfy the obligation of the owner, and that meal offering from which the handful was not taken did not satisfy the obligation of the owner. This is a case of a mixture of identical substances, and the meal offering from which a handful has not yet been removed does not nullify the handful. Since after the fact, if the mixture is burned on the altar, the meal offering from which the handful was taken satisfies the obligation of the owner. The Gemara explains the proof. In accordance with whose opinion is the Mishnah, if it is in accordance with the opinion of the rabbi, that is difficult. Didn't the rabbi say that it is in the case of a mixture of items that are sent to the altar that the different components of the mixture do not nullify one another, but in general, a substance in contact with the same type of substance is nullified? Rather, it is obvious that the Mishnah is in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda, who holds that any substance in contact with the same type of substance is not nullified. Now, granted, according to Rav Chisda, one who is the one who says that we follow the potentially nullifying substance. In the Mishnah's case, a potentially nullifying substance can become like the potentially nullified substance. And therefore, the Mishnah is considered to be one that consists of a substance in contact with the same type of substance, and the substance in contact with the same type of substance is not nullified. According to Rabbi Chanina, who is the one who says that we follow the potentially nullified substance, can a handful become a meal offering from which a handful has not yet been removed, so that it would not be nullified by the other meal offering if the handful was not removed? Therefore, shall we say that according to Rabbi Chanina, the Mishnah here is not in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Chia with regard to Rabbi Yehuda's opinion? The Gemara answers, this Mishnah as well is in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Zera, who explains that the Torah edict establishes that the remainder does not nullify the handful, and similarly the meal offering from which the handful has not yet been removed does not nullify the handful. The Gemara suggests, come to have a proof from the Mishnah here. If after it was removed, its handful was intermingled with the remainder of another meal offering, the priest should not burn the mixture on the altar, and if he burned it, it satisfied the obligation of the owner. The Gemara explains the proof, but here the potentially nullifying substance cannot become like the potentially nullified substance. Since the remainder of the main offering cannot be like the handful, and the potentially nullified substance cannot become like the potentially nullifying substance. Since the handful cannot become like the remainder of the meal offering, and the Mishnah teaches that the remainder of the meal offering does not nullify the handful. In accordance with whose opinion is the Mishnah? If it's according to the opinion of the rabbis, it's not difficult. The rabbis say that it is in the case of a mixture of items that are sent to the altar that the different components of the mixture do not nullify one another. But in general, the substance in contact with the same type of substance is nullified. Rather, the job is that the Mishnah is in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda, who holds that any substance in contact with the same type of substance is not nullified. In contrast to Rabbi Yehuda's statement, Rabbi Yehuda apparently holds that nullification takes place even if the nullifying substance cannot become like the nullified substance. The nullified substance cannot become like the nullifying substance. Rabbi Zera said, this mission is an independent halacha, based on a Torah edict that nullification does not take place when the remainder are intermingled with handfuls. He explains, the term burning is stated with regard to the handful removed from the meal offering, and the term burning is stated with regard to the remainder of the meal offering. This verbal analogy teaches that just as in a case of the burning that is stated with regard to the handful, if two handfuls are mixed together, one handful does not nullify the other, and all agree that the two are burned on the altar. So too, in the case of the burning that is stated with regard to the remainder of the meal offering, if the remainder of one offering is mingled with another meal offering, the remainder of the meal offering does not nullify the handful or the remainder of the second meal offering. The Gemara suggests another proof from a bite into Sefta Pesachim 2:21. Common here in the case of matzah that one seasoned with black cumin. What does that mean? A kemach, black cumin. Black cumin in Latin, Nagila savita, from the Runicale family, I don't know how to say that, is an annual herb that grows to a height of 30 centimeters and beyond. The leaves of the black cumin plant are divided into short lobes. The plant has blue flowers that grow to a circumference of 3 centimeters and bloom in early spring. Its black, nearly triangular seeds, which are found in a 5-section sheath, are only 2 to 3 millimeters in both width and length, up to 500 seeds weighing a single gram. Used today as a spice, black cumin was also used in the past for medicinal purposes and appears already in the Bible as cultivated plants here, Isaiah 28, 25, 27. And there's a picture here, if you've got this edition, Steinsaltz, of the black cumin flower on page 146. So the footnote here, halacha, tibla bekazach v'chulu. If one sees the remainder of the meal offering with different types of oils or spices, it is fit as it is considered to be matzah, although it is called seasoned matzah. This is in accordance with the Baita, which the Rambam interprets as referring to meal offerings that are brought as matzah, as well as the matzah that's eaten on Passover. According to the Rambam, it is permitted to add these ingredients only after the matzah is baked. One may not add these items to the dough, lest they cause the matzah to become leavened. The same dispute exists with regard to matzah on Passover, with the Rambam rules that it is permitted to add these ingredients to the dough, and the Rambam rules that one may add them only to the already baked matzah. The Shulchan Aruch rules, recited in the Keich, that one should not add spices to the dough abam nishon, but after the fact the matzah is considered permitted for eating on Passover, provided that there is an old block of dough aside from the additions. In any event, some say that one cannot fulfill the mitzvah of eating matzah on the first night of Passover with this matzah, since it is not considered bread of affliction. Rambam Sefer Voda Hilchot Matzah Component 12:17 and Sefer Semanim Hilchot Chometz Matzah 5:20 Shulchan Aruch Yodei 455:6. See the Magen Avraham and the Mishnah Berurah there. With sesame or any type of spice, it is fit to be eaten on the festival of Passover, and it is considered matzah, but it is called seasoned matzah. The Gemara comments, if it enters your mind to explain that this is a case where there was more spices than the matzah itself. Now granted, according to Rabbi Chanina, one who is the one who says that we follow the potentially nullified substance. In the case here, the potentially nullified substance can become like potentially nullifying substance, as when the matzah becomes moldy, it becomes like the spices, and it is no longer fit to be used to fulfill the mitzvah of eating matzah. Therefore, the small quantity of matzah is not nullified by the large quantity of spices, but according to Rav Hista, who is the one who says that we follow the potentially nullifying substance, can the spice become like the matzah? The Gemara answers, what are we dealing with here? We are dealing with a case where there are not more spices than matzah, but rather the majority is matzah, and therefore the matzah is not nullified. The Gemara notes, according to his explanation, the language of the Baita is also precise as it teaches, is considered matzah, but it's called seasoned matzah. learn from here that the bite is referring to an entity whose majority is matzah and is therefore referred to as seasoned matzah. The Gemara relates when Rav Kahana, and there's a footnote here about Rav Kahana. So who's Rav Kahana? Rav Kahana, there were several Amoraim named Rav Kahana who appear in the Talmud. Here apparently the reference is to the earliest Rav Kahana, as his name suggests. Rav Kahana was a priest of Kohen, and he was a disciple, colleague of Rav in Babylonia. It's related Rav Kahana and his colleague Rav Asi learned halachic traditions from Rav, but were independent in their analysis of those traditions. It's related in several places that they did not refrain from challenging Rav's opinion, forcing Rav to explain his opinion, and on more than one occasion, Rav's response was to remain silent rather than to attempt to resolve their difficult questions. Nevertheless, the two always treated Rav with the utmost esteem, and in turn were treated by Rav with great respect. As related here, Rav Kahana moved to Eretz Yisrael and met the sons of Rabbi Chia, who had moved at an early age to Eretz Yisrael with their father. He met Rabbi Shimon, son of Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, and taught Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish. Both the Jerusalem Talmud and Babylonian Talmud relate events that inspired Rav Kahana to move to Eretz Yisrael as a young man, which was in Rabbi Yochanan's old age. Based on the chronological implication of that fact, some understand the Gemara here to be referring to a different student of Rav named Rav Kahana. Ascended from Babylon to Eretz Yisrael, he found the sons of Rabbi Chia. So a bit here about his sons. Yehuda and Chizkiah were the twins, sons of Rabbi Chia. One was born at the beginning of the 7th month of gestation, and the other was born at the end of the 9th month. So they were born 3 months apart. They moved from Babylonia with their father in their youth, and at this point they were already considered to be great sages. This is seen by the declaration of the sage that when Rabbi Chia and his sons moved to Eretz Yisrael, they revived and established the Torah in Eretz Yisrael. In several places it's related that they were extremely righteous people whose prayers were answered. Like their father, the sons of Rabbi Chia did not support themselves in their Torah study, but rather engaged in agriculture. The sons of Rabbi Chia appear in sources together as one step in Yehuda, who was nicknamed the esteemed one, married the daughter of one of the greatest Torah sages of his generation, Rabbi Yanai, who thought very highly of him. He passed away during the lifetime of his father-in-law Chizkiah, like his father Rabbi Chia, redacted by Tot, and many of his statements are found in the Jewish Talmud as well as the Babylonian Talmud. It appears that the sons of Rabbi Chia lived in Tiberias, where they were later buried along with their father, who was sitting and saying the following in the case of a tenth of an eighth of a meal offering that one divided and placed into a receptacle. So moving on to the next document, just to finish this sentence. Such that the flour of the measure was in two places, not in contact with the other, and one who is richly impure immersed that day, and is waiting for nightfall for the purification process to be completed, touch one of the portions of the meal offering. What is halacha? So just to end with the footnote there, what does it mean? The day that one who immersed that day touched, V'naga Tabul Yom, when one becomes richly impure by Torah law, even after immersing himself, he is prohibited from taking sacrificial meat or truma until sunset, as well by the sage from the verse. And when the sun is down, he should be clean, and afterward he may eat of the sacred item. Leviticus 22:7. During this interval, he renders sacrificial items with which he comes into contact richly impure. The dispute as to whether these items render other items impure. The final ruling, as well as the premise of the Gemara here, is that these items do not render other items impure. Rashi explains that it is for this reason that the Gemara specifically addresses the case where the ritual impurity is imparted by one who immersed that day, because if the impurity had been imparted by one whose impurity was of a more severe nature, there would be no need for the vessel to combine the different components within it. The vessel itself would become impure due to the oil of the meal offering, as from the Olet Shlomo, and then impart impurity to the remaining contents. So that's the end of the Omid and the end of the Daf as well. Wish you a very good day. All the best. Bye.